Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. Make sure you're awake. Make sure you get some more coffee if you need to. My name is Stacy Spencer. I'm so excited to be with you all this morning, and I love this topic of paving the way for the next generation. Now, the reason I love this topic is because I get to live this topic every day, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that as this moment unfolds. But my life was not always that way. I haven't always lived my life for other people. As a matter of fact, paving the way for the next generation requires that you be intentional. You will never be able to impact other people's lives if you think it's going to happen by chance. You have to wake up every day with an intentional mindset that you're going to invest in someone's life and you're going to make someone's day better and someone's life better. And when you do that with small steps every day, you wake up one day and you realize that you've left a legacy behind you that you just can't imagine and that just can't be measured. Now, as I said, my life wasn't always about paving the way for other people. I grew up in a small town called Meridian, Mississippi. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of it. It's about 6 hours south of here. I had great parents, and it was an expectation of my parents that I was going to make something of myself. As a matter of fact, I'm 53 now, and I can remember just about 10 or 15 years ago, my dad actually looked at me and he said, "You know, Stacy, your mom and I, we really thought you were going to be somebody." I know, that's heartbreaking, isn't it? That's hard to hear. When you're in your 40s, you're like, "What? I thought I was somebody." But I understood at that point what my dad was saying. Because what my dad's philosophy of making a difference was making a name for myself. What my dad wanted to see me do in life was to build something that was so big that he could be proud of. And you know what? I've been able to do that. By the grace of God, I've been able to build something that my dad's not only proud of, but my husband and I are equally proud of. So I was raised back in Mississippi back in the 80s. So I grew up in the 80s when I graduated high school in 1986, showing my age. Any other 80s ladies? Oh, come on, don't be shy. Okay, good. So y'all can understand this. So for me, growing up in the 80s, our mantra, our leadership magazine was Cosmopolitan Magazine, or at least it was for me. It's the magazine my mom gave me when I went to college. And I thought Cosmopolitan Magazine had all the answers for what it meant to be a woman in today's world. And there was also this theme song that we kind of all embraced. I don't know, I won't put this on you other women of my age, but for me, this was the theme song of the 80s. I can bring home the bacon, da-na-na-na, fry it up in a pan, na-na-na-na. Y'all remember this? And never let you forget you're a man. Yeah, I'm a woman. I got somebody in the back there. It's silly, but that was the culture that I grew up in that said I could have it all, and I should make a name for myself, and I should build my kingdom, and I should build my empire. And so that's what I set out to do. And by the grace of God, I was able to do that. I went to Belmont University, got my degree in broadcast communications, minor in speech. I was able to work in my industry, which was the TV and film industry, for over 10 years, a male-dominated industry. I was a producer. It was awesome. Achieved all those dreams. I'm 30. At the age of 30, I'm getting married. I'm buying a house. I have my own company, right? That's the goal of life. I had arrived. I was feeling pretty good about myself. And on my 30th birthday, my mom wanted us all to get together because she was a good mom, and she said, "I want to give you something special." And she gave me this really big cardboard box that was wrapped up in wrapping paper. And I remember my family was all around. My husband was there too. And I started unwrapping this box. And as I stared into this box, it was just full of cards and letters. And it was big. It was like this big. And I remember moving away some of the cards, and underneath the cards was a book. I brought it with me. My mom's so awesome. Isn't that great? My mom's in heaven. She's been in heaven about 5 years now. She gave me this book. It says, Stacy, the First 30 Years. And I started opening it and looking at it. And my mom had gone through all the pictures from when I was just born up until the age of 30. And she'd cut out all these pictures and she'd pasted them in this photo book for me. And I was flipping through these pages and I began to weep. I mean, I didn't just get emotional. I was heaving, weeping. And my mom's like, oh, honey, I thought this would make you happy. I thought this was I'm sorry. And I'm like, no, this is great. I didn't even know what to say. So I go home and I process what had just happened. And I began to think about Stacy, the first 30 years. The last page of the book, I think you'll like this. My mom gave us the last page. She had the picture of a wedding dress, pictures of babies, a house. She said, is this possible? She actually wrote, the last page of the book says, be sure to get the sequel. Here are some possible photos for the next book, weddings, kids, house. Well, my mom isn't a prophet, but some of her predictions did come true. I did get married. We did buy a house. We didn't have any children. But for the next few years, this book and these pictures kind of haunted me. Because when I looked at the pictures in the book, the pictures weren't just of me. There were all these people in the book with me. There were my parents, my aunts and uncles, my grandparents, my friends, my teachers, my coaches, my cheerleading team, my dance team, my friends at college. There were all these pictures of other people in my life. And I realized that Stacy, the first 30 years, would never have been possible without all these people. And all the cards were notes that people sent to me that I had lived life with for the first 30 years. And I was overwhelmed at how many lives I had the opportunity to touch. And I began to ask myself, this is all great that all these people have helped me achieve the things that I've been able to achieve, but what have I done for them? And what am I doing with my life today? What am I doing to impact others? So I began to ask those really big life questions, the ones that I'm sure that many of you have asked. And if you haven't asked, I hope that this morning you'll start to ask. What is the purpose of your life? What is the purpose of your business? What is the purpose of the time that you have? You see, this book, that moment in my life, made me realize that my life is not just about me. It's about the people around me. Take a look around the room and around the table for just a moment. It's not a coincidence that you're sitting at a table with other people this morning. We're designed to be in community with others, and you may have the very thing that someone at your table needs. A word of encouragement, a smile, even behind a mask, a hug, a connection. You may have the very thing that somebody else needs if we'll be intentional and we'll offer it up to people. A few years later, my husband and I were still asking those questions. What is the purpose of life? And if the life that we've been given isn't about us and it's about others, well, what do we do about that? Well, we got tricked into going to a church here in Middle Tennessee, and we had an encounter with God that night. And we decided that we no longer wanted to live our lives for ourselves, but we wanted our lives to be about others. But we realized that we had to make that decision every day. And it wasn't long, by God's design, that he brought into our life these two young men. This is me 17 years ago. Yes, I'm a brunette. My husband, and Adam Stoner and Rob Rogers. God brought them into our lives. We gave them jobs in our company. You know why? They weren't qualified. Let me just tell you, they weren't qualified. But they needed direction in life. They needed someone to believe in them, and they needed someone to pave the way for them. So we gave them jobs because we saw potential, and we knew that if we served them and we showed them that we loved them and truly cared for them, that they would experience transformation, and they did. And one night we asked them, what do you want to do with your life? And because we had given our life to them, they said, we want to give our lives for others. So we'd like to start a program for guys like us who have no idea what they want to do with their lives. And they said, would you help us? And that started my husband and I on this journey. And we got out of the company that we had raised up. We gave our company to our employees. And we decided to start a nonprofit organization that today is called Narrowgate. Our lives became about them, and their lives became about others. We started Narrowgate 17 years ago, and we still have the privilege to invest in young men ages 18 to 25. We provide them an environment where they can step away from the noise of the world to seek the answers to the questions of life. Two most important questions you may or may not have ever asked. Who am I, and why am I here? 6 years ago, we were fortunate enough to start 3 businesses. Oh, sorry, here's some pictures of us and some of the young men that we've had the chance to influence and impact. I can honestly tell you I've lived with over 500 men. It's so nice to be in the company of women this morning. This will be the sequel because I made a choice of what the next 30 years would be like. 6 years ago, we were fortunate enough to start 3 businesses in Williamson County. Narrowgate Woodworks and Narrowgate Leather Goods and Narrowgate Coffee Co. The free coffee on your table, please take it. If there's nobody else at your table, take 2 bags. Enjoy your coffee. Have a cup of coffee and contemplate. Who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing with my days? Am I building my own kingdom? Or am I building an environment, a company, a culture in which I can impact lives? Because ladies, let me tell you, you can. You do not have to forego profit for impact. For 6 years, we've been profitable, and we've been employing not just young men, but young women. We've employed over 50 people in the past 6 years. And our companies are not just creating products that have been transformed. So we take wood, leather, coffee beans, transform them into something useful and beautiful. But our company's mantra, the heart and soul, is transformation of our people. My goal, I have one of my dear friends, Madison, is here today. She works with me. My goal every day is, how do I help Madison get to the next level? Madison didn't become a part of my company to build my company. Madison came into my life so that I could build her up. One of the greatest joys I had recently was we had an employee that was with us for 12 years. When he came to work with us, he knew nothing about video production, but he was interested in it. So we gave him a job. He started out very low pay, but we trained him. We gave him opportunities. We challenged him. He became better and better and better and better. You know what? He got hired off by Dave Ramsey. He's working at Dave Ramsey now. He's making more money than we could have ever afforded as a nonprofit organization. Married, 2 kids, loving his life because we invested in him. That is the greatest joy. No money will ever satisfy that. To know that I was able to make a difference in that young man's life. And all it took was just deciding to do it and being intentional with my days. We believe that the workplace can be transformational, but we have to be intentional. You heard me say I had an encounter with God. Yes, I'm a Christian. I believe that not everybody has to go to church, but everybody has to go to work. So I use my work, I use our work environment in an effort to impact people's lives every day. And it's not just hoping and trying, we're doing it. Our program for young men, Narrowgate Lodge, has been so successful that about 5 or 6 years ago, we had 40 to 45 other ministries contact us and say, we want to come to your location in Williamsport, Tennessee. So we have 2 locations, our Williamsport, Tennessee location, which is Narrowgate Lodge, and then our businesses, which are located in Franklin. And they said, we want to come and see what you do, and we want to learn from you what you do and how you do it. Can we come? We said, absolutely. We have an open door policy. All y'all are welcome anytime. All y'all. Y'all do all y'alls? There's not a lot of women at Narrowgate, so I need you. Please, please come see me. And these 45 ministries came, and we knew we had to sort of summarize what we do and how we do it. And I'd like to share with you the 3 kind of key principles this morning that help us to do what we do. The first one is we identify the right candidate. We identify the right candidate. Narrowgate Lodge, our program for young men ages 18 to 25, is not open to everyone. It's not right for everybody. Your company is not a perfect fit for everybody. But you can find the right candidate. So be selective. Learn to see people for who they are and not where they are. Who they are. They're a real living person. They are made in the image of God. They have wants and dreams. They have struggles. They have needs. Know your people. Know who they are and where they are. And make sure you learn to spot potential in people. Start practicing. How can I find the potential in this person? We all have potential, and every person who comes into your life every day has some potential. You have to find the potential and invest in that. Our job descriptions at our company and in our nonprofit organization as well include not only job competencies, what are you competent at, what are your skill sets, but we also have a list of things we call attributes. Attributes. These are so essential to make sure I've identified the right candidate, because I can train someone to do the job. I can't train someone to have integrity. I can train someone to do a thing. I can't train someone to be receptive to feedback. So we identified attributes of people that would be successful, and we identified the right candidate. And now I know I've got a good candidate to invest in. I'm going to get a good return on this because I've chosen a good candidate. Can I tell you a funny one? Sometimes we say, well, are they fat? That y'all are going to be happy to be fat now. Are they faithful, available, and teachable? Are they fat? Makes sounding fat good. I'm faithful, I'm available, and I'm teachable. Looking for that right candidate. The second one is to adopt the right posture. Adopt the right posture. Now, I could talk about this for hours and hours, so I'm just going to cut to the chase and tell you. It's a servant-hearted posture. It's a posture that looks out not only for the interest of others, not only for your own interest, but the interest of others. A servant-hearted posture. Now, this is countercultural, and we do this in our organization with a mantra we call, know 'em and grow 'em. Know 'em and grow 'em. Every one of our leaders has 5 direct reports in our organization. If you have more than that, we're going to restructure because that's too many. I can't really know 19 people. I know somebody recently that had 19 direct reports. They're not in a relational style of leadership. They're just managing cogs in a wheel. No more than 5 direct reports, and we meet with them weekly. The third one is employ an effective method. Paving the way for the next generation means you need to understand what's effective for them. For some of my direct reports, it's time and relationship. For others, it's sharing resources. And for others, it's sitting side by side with them and walking through a project so I can model it for them. You need to understand their why and their priorities. Otherwise, we can't help them reach the next level. So what is the path to purpose? It's about living a life that's about more than you. The path to purpose begins when we agree to change our perceptions about what will really matter in the end. And what will matter most is people whose lives we impacted for good. I want to close with this poem. Ready or not, someday it will all come to an end. That's a happy good morning message, huh? Stay with me, though. There will be no more sunrises, no minutes, hours, or days. All things collected, whether treasured or forgotten, will pass to someone else. Your wealth, fame, and temporal power will shrivel to irrelevance. Your grudges, resentments, frustrations, and jealousies will finally disappear. So too, your hopes, ambitions, plans, and to-do lists will expire. The wins and losses that once seemed so important will fade away. It won't matter where you came from or what side of the tracks you lived at the end. It won't even matter whether you were beautiful or brilliant. Even your gender and skin color will be irrelevant. So what will matter? How will the value of your days be measured? What will matter is not what you bought, but what you built. Not what you got, but what you gave. What will matter is not your success, but your significance. What will matter is not what you learned, but what you taught. What will matter is every act of integrity, compassion, courage, or sacrifice that enriched, empowered, or encouraged others to emulate your example. What will matter is not your competence, but your character. What will matter is not how many people you knew, but how many will feel a lasting loss when you're gone. What will matter are not your memories, but the memories of those who love you. What will matter is how long you will be remembered, by whom, and for what. Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It's not a matter of circumstance, but of choice. Choose to live a life that matters. The sequel of your book, of your life, could start today. All it takes is a choice to live intentionally and pave the way for the next generation. Thank you all so much.